deep and dark. There is a realm steeped in beauty and sharp as teeth. Bury your soul to their wildest whims. Hide your lies and sins. Be brave.
Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of House Rules Presents A Fairy's Tale. We are very excited to share this storytelling journey with all of you guys and hope you enjoy the story we have to tell. But before we jump in, I'd like to take a quick moment to give a shout out to everyone involved, starting with Find Me in the Future Band, also known as Mickey, one of our players, and Mika, for providing the full album of original music that you'll hear throughout today's episode and all our episodes to come. Claps for them. It's amazing. You can stream it on Spotify. There's a command. We have a timer for shout out, but command exclamation point music, and you can hear that there. And I would also like to introduce everyone to our main cast of adventurers. So first up, we have Mickey. Can I get a little hi, Mickey?
Hi.
Okay, amazing. And then we have Remy.
Hello.
Carpley.
Hello.
And Dave.
Greetings.
We have 4 main cast members. Remy is a bit of a mouse also. Okay. Remy, you might need to speak up. Oh, Nightbot is in tier. Well,
Nightbot's
where
late.
is Nightbot? Question
Nightbot's
for
late.
the room, all the streamers. Is there something you have to do? You know
You
what?
have to invite Nightbot to your channel.
You know what? Because my Nightbot is currently signed in the wrong Twitch. Give me one sec. Nightbot should be here now. Let's see. Nope.
No.
The channel from the website. Thank you so much. You would think I know this considering I run my own Twitch channel, but I don't. Okay, we might not have commands to this week, but we will have commands next week. Off to a great start. What would launch day be without some wonderful tech issues? So those links will be available the next time we stream, but also if you just put in A Fairy's Tale or FMITF band into Spotify, the album will show up and you can stream it there. So please go stream it and support our wonderful friends. We love them so much. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Mika. We've introduced everyone. Also, finally, I do want to give a big thank you to our 3 mods who have been trying to help me sort out Nightbot. Natalie, Ashley, and Mika. Please remember to respect them and abide by our code of conduct so we can ensure everyone has a great time listening to this tale. Now, hopefully that's the last tech issue we have. Intro is over. Without further ado, I would like to welcome everyone to episode 1 of A Fairy's Tale.
Deep and dark, there is a realm steeped in beauty and sharp as teeth. Bury your soul to their wildest whims.
Hello, and welcome to A Fairy's Tale. We open on a lush grove filled with color, filled with life. Flowers of impossible hues sway on a sweet breeze. The scent of something familiar to you, something personal, draws you in. A different scent for each to pull you further into the embrace of the realm. A butterfly flits through the fame, or maybe a moth. Its wings, yet small, beat with power and strength as it flutters past view. The camera follows its movements as it rushes through the grove, diving between flora and fauna, ducking and weaving as it makes its way to a hill crest. As the creature bounds over the peak of the hill, we see a structure come into view, a castle, a court bursting with life, echoing the impossible colors of the surrounding grove. It is as if the human spectrum of color has been opened up, revealing so many new and beautiful hues we could not previously see. Parapets and towers of iridescent glass glimmer in the light of day as fairies, both young and old, move in joyous rhythm. As the moth-like creature soars down the hill into the court, it explodes in a glorious color and flash as its wings grow tenfold and its body transforms into a gallant, glorious male figure. Landing gracefully on its spindly legs, it strides into the court, its wings coming to rest at its back. A circle of young fairy folk of every ilk and shape and form wait for the figure in a small, lush courtyard within the castle. Each of their heads turns up in excitement as they see the man enter, smiles brimming and eyes gleaming. We follow our figure as it strides into the center of the circle, looking down at the small folk around it. It begins to speak. I know a bank where the wild thyme blows, where the oxlips and nodding violet grows, quite over-canopied with luscious woodbine, with sweet musk rose and eglantine. There sleeps Titania, some time of the night, lulled in these flowers with dances and delight. And there the snake throws her enameled skin, weed wide enough to wrap a fairy in. This is where our tale begins, a tale of fairies, sung sweet on the strings of violins. Now, we cut to a quaint village with the sun cresting into the dawn. We open on a small abode with a workshop attached. The sun just rising over the rooftop, settled within the midsummer woods of the Sealy Court. An elderly gentleman rises from his bed to greet the day. Dave, would you like to describe to us who we see?
We see a shorter hobgoblin. His hair is more present than it often is with others of his age. He's wearing a linen shirt and some short pants, and the sleeves of his shirt are rolled up to reveal two copper arms, and from underneath his pants we can see two equally copper legs. He reaches over to the night table and pulls on a small pair of spectacles that don't so much hook onto his ears as they just perch on his nose. And in the light, he looks around to see if he can find some clothes to put on.
So, Oak, you come to start your usual routine now that you're suited up, which, actually, tell me what Oak's usual routine is. I assume he checks in on his various automatons that he's built throughout his life, making sure none of them need repair, and making sure all is sort of usual in the humble home.
Yeah, his first order of business this morning, as every morning, is to make himself a cup of tea. And once he's done that, he'll go down to the workshop. His wife isn't yet awake, and he'll see what the progress of his various projects are. A automaton he built, named Octopus, has been working throughout the night, and so he'll check in and see what progress Octopus has made. And then, once he's ascertained that everything is going well, he might go for a walk and stroll along the dirt lane outside of his house.
And Oak, as you come out of the workshop, you see Pig, your gardening automaton, is busy out in the front garden tending to the morning watering of your wife Deli's various flower beds. And as you take your walk, you come back and you don't find Deli, but you do find a note that she has left you in the kitchen, which is a list of items she wishes for you to pick up in town. The items are 1 bread, 2 milk, 3 eggs, 4 sweet sap, which is sort of fairy sugar or sweetener, and 5 is just written in a long line, anything you need for the shop.
I wonder where Deli has gone.
And with that, Oak is going to pick up his note, and he's going to go outside where elk is stored in sort of an open air barn on the side of his house, and he's going to attach the saddle to elk, which of course just snaps on because elk is also an automaton, and then he's going to ride elk into town in search of milk, bread, eggs, sweet sap, and anything else that he wants from the shop.
And Elk gives like a little though it is an automaton, you are a master craftsman. They have much life to them, and it gives like a little as you greet it in the morning, and you snap on the saddle, and it begins to almost trot its way down into the local village. And as you come into the village, it's small. It's nestled within the Midsummer Woods, so it's not terribly vast. There are various dwellings formed out of the trees, and others more like your own, which are more traditional abodes. And as you come into town, you know that there are 2 places in which you want to visit. One would be the sort of general store, which is in sort of the main square of the town. And then there is another, in case you do need anything for your workshop, there is another store that may be of interest, which is sort of your local blacksmithery and wood supply store. Think your local fantasy Home Depot. And you visited both of these shops many times before over the course of your long life. So you know the way. And which would you like to visit first?
Oak is thinking that it would make the most sense to get the groceries second, because of course then they will be more fresh. There's no harm in going to the blacksmith first, spending half an hour looking at parts. That's perfectly reasonable, so that's what he's going to do.
Okay. So, Oak, you take Elk and you stride onto the blacksmithery and woodcraft supply store. And as you dismount him, you sort of make your way into the store. There's a little like chime of a bell as the door hits it to alert the shopkeep that someone has entered. But you are predominantly, you don't see the shopkeep at the moment. You are predominantly alone at this current second. There are shelves, there are sort of a few rows of sturdy wooden shelves with various tacks and tools and small sheets of wood that are sort of prepared into actual like 2x4s for you, but also there are raw materials, there are nails and screws and all of the things that you would need to do sort of simple handicraftery. Is there anything in particular, Oak, that you were looking for today?
Oak would go towards the back of the shop, as he may have done hundreds of times before, to the aisle where the mechanical components are stored in little baskets along this long shelf. And he would pull a small leather pouch from his belt, and then start taking a few here, a few there, maybe one of these, one of those. And before you know it, the bag is full, and he has lots of little bits and bobs and parts that he might need for a project one day, or more likely, he might not.
Deli really hasn't learned that telling Oak that he can get anything from the shop that he might need for a project would lead to Oak very much getting anything from the shop that he would like. Oak, as you start to pull together all of the wares that you're looking to purchase, you finally hear sort of the creaking of the wood as the shopkeep bounds from the back room to behind his little front desk there, and you see a brisk sort of hefty built man, dwarven man with a large beard and a balding head and covered in a little bit of soot, and he has like a like almost suede, but like that heavy suede sort of welder's like apron on in front of him, a tool belt along his side, and you see the visage of someone you have met many times and I think have potentially grown to be at least friendly with, the shopkeep here known as Steel Woodside. And he gives you like a gruff, I haven't seen you in a while. The missus keeping you from coming down?
No, not in this case. The missus actually sent me out to get some groceries with the provision that if I did so, I could come into the shop and have a look around. How are you, Steele? How are the children?
Oh, you know, they're breaking an old man's back as they do. Gotta get new
Isn't
shoes
that
for
the
this
way?
one, and gotta put new hooves on that one's horse, and you know, I used to have a lot more hair. Not here, but up here before I had kids.
Yes, I certainly know the feeling. I think
Oh.
I'm at 18 grandchildren now.
Oh,
They do start to add up.
Oak, you gotta tell me a secret how you kept all your hair. The stress, it's just got me pulling it out. I'm afraid I'm gonna be beardless at one point. Could you imagine? A dwarf
I
without a
certainly
beard.
could not.
Oh. Well, bring him here. Let me see what you got. And he like
Oh,
waves
just
you
a little
over.
of this and a little of that.
Okay. Well,
Oak puts his pouch down on the counter.
well, okay. You've got this here and that's there, and this being carry the one, and you know, do you want to pay for that now, or do you want me to put it on your tab?
Well, can you tell me how much the total's gonna be?
Well, it's not a lot actually, just a couple of, probably like 20 silver.
20 silver. Tell you what, I'll pay 10 now, and on my next visit, I'll pay the other 10. And that way, Deli, my wife, whom I love very much, will be under the impression that I spent 10 now and 10 then, rather than 20 all at once.
This is how you kept the hair, my man. Quick thinking. Quick thinking. All right, I'll take the 10 now, and I'll take a 10 later.
Wonderful.
And Oak counts out the 10 silver pieces on the counter for Steel.
Amazing. Steel takes them, and he like, you hear like he like pulls a lever, and he has like an old timey, like almost like steampunk like cash register, and he pulls a lever, and the drawer comes out, and you would recognize this, Oak, as it is actually one of your crafts in which you supplied for the shop in sort of its initial, you know, getting it set up, helping to sort of build out the village a bit, the pillar of the community that you are. And he deposits the 10 silver in, closes the door. It's like, well, we'll be seeing you. Don't get into too much trouble. And he like gives you a little wink.
I will do my best, Steele. Always lovely to speak with you. Have a wonderful day.
And Steel sort of gives you like a little, and he sort of makes his way back into the back room to whatever sort of handicraft he might have been up to at the time.
And with that, Oak is going to leave the shop and make his way to the store to get what he actually came here for.
And you make your way to the general store, which is a little bit larger than that of the handicraft shop. As it's been around a little bit longer, and it is actually one of those buildings that is built out of a very large tree trunk, almost like if a hobbit house was built into a tree. And there is a large regular door, but with a rounded top with glass inlaid into it. And you open a familiar little sort of bell ding as the general store's door lets the shopkeep know that there's someone in, and immediately you hear the sound of sort of rustling footsteps of who you know to be as Marigold Broadgluff. And a sort of stoutly woman with curly auburn hair comes bounding around the corner of the back room and goes, "Oh, Oak, it's you. What'll it be today?"
Well, Marigold, my wife has sent me on a mission of sorts. You see, I have a list here of items that I desperately need to acquire to maintain the running of our household. It's 4 items, so I hope you can handle the length. But I am looking for bread, milk, eggs, and then a hereto undefined quantity of sweet sap.
Well, that should be easy enough. We just got delivery of milk this morning. Your wife's a lucky lady, you coming down to the shop all these times. And if I know Deli, she might be doing some baking. So that's probably going to be about a quart of sweet sap. Haven't seen you buy it in a while, so you might as well stock up. Okay, well, come with, and she waves to you, and she like starts puttering around. She grabs a basket for you and like fusses over you a little bit, and she goes to like grab a loaf of bread, and she's like, actually no, I'll get you this one. It's the better loaf, you know, baked it myself. And she puts a different loaf into this like little basket for you, and then she like quickly goes. She grabs a quart of milk that she has to go to the back to get because she hasn't put the shipment out yet. And then she grabs the little sort of like wooden carton of eggs. And then she goes to the little section of the shelves that have the sweet sap, and she doesn't pick the largest vessel of it. She sort of picks like the medium-sized vessel, and she puts that in. She's like, "Well, come with me," and she like fusses her way up to the counter, and she's like, "All right, well, okay, so for all that." That would be for anyone else, sir. That would be about 10 silver. But for you, just because it's you and I like you, that'll be about 7 silver.
As always, Marigold, you are so very generous. Thank you so much.
Well, I do what I can, really. And she like as she's doing this and she's like leaning over the counter to you, she like almost like presses her breasts together a little bit. It's kind of, she does this kind of like almost flirtatious thing with Oak, but not in the advancing way, but in the make an old man feel good about himself way. Like, oh, Oak still got it. And she takes the silver and she pockets it. And she starts putting the various things that you have purchased into little brown bags and hands them to you.
Many thanks, Marigold. I best be on my way now. But you
better
have
get back
a
to the
lovely
missus.
day.
Thank you very much. Can't be late. Tell Deli I say hi, and I'll see her at next year's Bake Off. You do?
I will do that. See you later, Marigold.
And she gives you a little wink, and then like bustles on back to the back room.
And Oak turns around and takes his haul back to Elk and deposits both his new food and his trinkets into Elk's saddlebags, and then turns around to make his way home.
And as you make your way home, it's not a far journey, especially not on Elk. But as you sort of crest around the bend, coming to your home, Oak, you see that there are two rather large white and sort of saddled and adorned stallions that are like reined up to one of the posts outside of your house along the fence.
Oak is somewhat confused, but nonetheless unpacks his haul from Elk's saddlebags and brings it into the house.
And as you bring it into the house, you are greeted by not just Deli, but there are two additional figures there as well. And they are clad in regalia, somewhat armor-like. Not super heavy armor, more almost like ceremonial, with the insignia of Titania and the Summer Court. And Deli's like, "Oh, Oak, we have guests. I believe they're looking for you for some reason."
Guests?
Yes,
Looking
I
for
offered them
me?
a cup of tea, but they're not taking any. They say they have a letter for you.
A letter? Yes. Well, okay. Nice of them to hand deliver it.
Yes, it looks quite official. I don't know what this business is. Have you gone and done something?
I don't believe so.
You're not in any trouble, are you, Oak? You haven't been out those crazy nights out on the town with Steel, not telling me about them?
Deli, you know I've never had a crazy night out on the town in my life.
Well, I
Worst
don't
thing I've
know.
ever done is stay up too late in my workshop.
Listen, you could be in the workshop, you could be down the street. I'm hard of hearing.
This
Well,
is
anyways.
why I offered to make you a hearing aid last year. Anyways,
I don't need. You know what? I can hear perfectly well. I just, can't hear you if you're out in the workshop or you're down in the town. That's some supersonic hearing. I don't need that. Huh. Give me the
Oh,
groceries.
mighty. All right, here they are.
She hustles over and picks them up, and she's like, "All right, well, you just stock, and I'll get to making the tea." Oh, do you want tea?
Yeah, I could go for a cup. Hello, my new friends. My name is Oak Mazegill, Magi Engineer First Class. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And the two figures are much taller than you as a hobgoblin. They're slender, and they have they appear to both be Eladrin, the sort of native Fae elves. Their skin is almost plant-like and sort of out of their ears or through their hair, and through any of the exposed skin you can see little flowers or petals or leaves that grow off of them. Both of them appear to be at least currently presenting within the summer season. And they give you they both give you like a very rigid little like bow, not a full bow as if they would bow to royalty, but sort of like a courtesy bow. And they look at you, and the one begins to speak, and he says, "Are you Mr. Mazegill?"
Yes, I'm Oak Mazegill. And who might you be?
Well, we are both emissaries from Her Royal Majesty Titania's summer court. We have been instructed to bring to you this summons. And he pulls out a rather long scroll, clearly embossed with gold, and a wax seal with the symbol of a diamond with like a six-pointed star in the side of it, but the sides of the star almost are rounded to be like little butterfly wings. This, you would know, is the seal of the royal court of Titania.
Titania, Her Majesty. Oh my. What does the Queen want with me?
Well, now that we are in your presence, if you would allow me, I shall open the summons. And he like waits for you to give him like a go-ahead.
By all means, please.
It's all very formal. And he like peels and cracks the wax seal, and he whoosh, pulls out the scroll, clears his throat. A summons for a Mr. Oak Mazegill to serve his queen and country has been called. Though Mr. Mazegill is in his later years of life, he has not been called upon for service in his lifetime, and thus he is asked to serve now. Should he accept, great honor, reward, and blessings upon his afterlife await him at the end of this journey. If so, Mr. Mazegill should arrive at the summer court no later than the Tuesday after next, with anything he may require for a month's journey. It is there that he, amongst fellow adventurers and friends of the Summer Queen, will be greeted and briefed by Titania herself for this task of utmost importance. Signed, the Great Summer Court of Her Royal Majesty Titania.
A month's journey, you say? For the
Approximately.
Queen? Approximate. Well,
Yes.
I'd best start packing.
Well, you have, a good week and a half, so plenty of time to pack. But I would assume that you are accepting said summons?
Yes, of course. Anything for Her Majesty.
And
She has been very good to us here.
you hear, as she Deli has sort of been moving very quietly, and then she's almost like rampages around the kitchen door into this, and she goes, "A month's journey? What's this about? And you just saying yes like it's nothing. You're an old man."
It's for the Queen, Deli.
"Oh, sir, but can someone younger serve the Queen? This seems rather unorthodox."
Deli, I am plenty young to serve the Queen, and I will be accepting.
Oh, young by my funny bone. That's the funniest thing I heard in the last 40 years.
Look, this is very important to me.
Well, I don't like it. And your children aren't gonna like it either. But, the grandkids might like it, and you get a little story to tell them, and I'm sure they'd be thrilled about that. And then she looks to
Children are adults, and the grandchildren will indeed get stories. I
Yes.
think it's a wonderful idea.
The children are adults, so they know better. They've got the fear life bred into them. They know how old you are. They know how dangerous this could be. And she looks to the two guys and she says, how dangerous could this be? And the one guard is like, well, madam, it's any adventure with this sort of summons for the Queen offers its own peril, but your husband will not be alone. There will be various other adventurers with him. And unfortunately, as you are not the one the summons is for, I cannot reveal any other information at this time. And she like crosses her arms. She says, oh, I can't reveal any other information at this time. That means it's pretty fucking dangerous.
Look, Deli, if it makes you feel better, I'll bring Moth with me. It will protect me from whatever the Feywilds can throw at me.
Makes me feel better. Of course you're taking Moth. Silly twat. I knew you were gonna go. I was just putting up a fuss. Of course I was gonna make you take Moth. You can't go anywhere without him. We'll be
I
fine
can
here
go
with the
some
rest
places. I can go to the
town.
store. All right. Well, I'd best start packing, getting my affairs in order. Oh my goodness. So much to do. A week and a half is not nearly long enough.
Well, I'll get to bacon. They'll hold a good journey. You know, get you some preserves as well. You'll be hungry out on the road. And who knows who you're going to be traveling with? Could be some large folks. Huh, maybe we should get some meats for you.
Do we have money
I'll figure it
for
out.
the inns? Okay. We'll discuss it.
I'll figure it out. You know, we got savings. It's all right. You've done well for us. And she, Deli at this moment, then busies herself and she she was extremely worried a moment ago and now she is in full sort of grandmother planner mode and she is running around and she's like grabbing things as if you were like had to leave in like an hour. She was like taking like jars of jam and other things and she's like, week and a half, I've got no time. And as she's like fussing around in the kitchen, she yells back to you. She's like, oh, so you're the one who's gonna have to tell the children. It's not gonna be me. You're not just gonna hop off out of here scot-free.
No, of course I'll tell the children that I'm going on a grand adventure. And that when I come back, I will regale their children with stories the like they could not imagine.
And the two summer court representatives look at you and kind of look at each other and they're like, this is probably time for us to leave. And the one speaks to you and says, well, I'm glad to take back your reply of yes to the Queen. And we will be looking forward to seeing you within a week and a half's time. Now, good day. And they give you, again, just sort of a very polite bow and then make their way out to their two white stallions. And now you notice they have sort of drapery coming off of the saddles that also has the same insignia of Queen Titania. And they begin to make their way back, presumably, to the summer court. And I would say, Oak, over the next week and a half, you and Deli sort of bicker back and forth. She has her reservations and she'll bring up being like, well, do you think you could maybe tell them no? I don't know what I'm going to do with myself for a month. I miss you too much. and you reassure her, and of course, she invites all of the children and the grandchildren. Your home is filled with noise and people, and you announce that you were leaving on a journey. Your children express, maybe not so much to you, but to Deli, their concerns and worries about your age and about how dangerous this could be. But your grandchildren certainly do seem impressed that Grandpa has been given a sort of grand quest. And they... At certain points they like group off, and they're like make-believe playing in the yard about like all the things you could come in contact with. And I would say it fills your heart with that feeling of family that you have had over the course of your life, in sort of the days leading up to you saddling up Elk and bringing Moth with you as you make your way to the summer court. And as you do, the journey is not incredibly long. It's like a few days journey, but you have made it before when you have had to deliver a particular bit of artifice for one of the lesser nobles within the court. And as you sort of crest over a hillside, you see the castle come into view. You, Elk, and Moth make your way down to the front gates of Titania's castle. Almost instinctually, they open and let you in, and you are greeted by the same Eladrin that had brought your summons to you. Well, welcome to the summer court, Master Mazegill. Now, if you would follow me, I will show you to your accommodations as we wait for the rest of the adventurers to arrive. Come, come. And he waves to you.
Thank you kindly.
And Oak follows him.
And as he leads you forward, he brings you into a wing of the castle with various living quarters. And he comes to a room with sort of rather large double doors, certainly to you at a hobgoblin size. And he turns and he opens one side of the double doors, and he sort of bows to let you in, and he says, "Well, I hope these accommodations are to your liking, sir."
They seem very comfortable, thank you.
And Oak, as you come into the room, he also says to you, "I'm sorry, we are currently actually quite full, so I had to put you in one of the smaller rooms. I hope it's not too cozy for you." And it's almost ironic as he says this, because this room itself is larger than the home you had back in the village. There is a large sort of singular king-sized bed with what looks to be sort of beautiful silk sheets on it. There are sort of floating, like dancing fairy lights, like little, almost like little fireflies, but in the shapes of butterflies, sort of swirling along the ceiling to light the room. And as you come in, they sort of light up instinctually. And you know this as a little bit of artifice mixed with some arcane magic. These are sort of very small little sort of firefly lights that are made out of gold, and then have like sort of like a light in the center of them, like the body of them is a light. But their wings are like beautiful filigree. And you almost because you are so adept within artifice, you can almost hear that most people can't. The little tinge of sort of metal going through the air, that little like sort of tinny sound that is very, very, very faint as you like almost hear their wings flap as they sort of circle the room. There are various pillars sort of swirled in this almost iridescent crystal. And there's a sort of a large wardrobe to one side. The room is, at least to you, does not feel cozy, does not feel quaint. It actually feels quite grand.
My good fellow, this room is perhaps bigger than my house and my workshop and my barn combined. I think it will be quite comfortable.
Well, I am certainly glad for that then. The other adventurers should be here as within this day, and I will come and fetch you when it is time to greet the Queen.
Very good. Thank you.
And if you should need anything else, any other tea or other accommodations, please do not be afraid to sort of ring the bell on your side table. And you see there's like a little like hand bell to ring the side table of the bed. And he gives you a little bow and shuts the door and is off. And I think with that, we will leave our time with Oak, and instead, we shall move to a new adventurer, currently making their way through the woods. Now, we open into a large wooded area. And our next adventurer, currently under the pursuit of a large beast, snarls and growls and caws echo through the wood as the beating of its large claws punctuate the chase, the like, almost like a heartbeat. And I would say, Trey, almost in time with your own heartbeat, you hear these clawed paws doo-doo, 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 onto the ground. Just ahead of this creature, we find our next adventurer, an armor-clad man. Carpley, would you like to introduce Trey?
Trey is a shorter and very built human man who has sort of had a little bit of a change happen to him as he's been in the Fae realms. He's got gold eyes and a little bit of some gold lines crisscrossing his body. And his hair is disheveled and has leaves you'd think are stuck in it, but if you look closer, they're actually growing out of his hair. And he looks exhausted 24/7, and this is no exception.
And I would say, Trey, you feel exhausted as you try to keep your pace running from this beast behind you, your heart pounding against your breastplate, the sound of it echoing through the wood, almost engulfing your ears. Trey, can I get the first roll of this campaign? Can you please make an athletics or acrobatics check as you try to keep ahead of the monster in pursuit of you?
You got it, boss. Here we go. No whammies. Oh, hell yeah. That's a 20, baby. Not a nat, but it is a 20.
A dirty 20. Okay.
Dirty 20!
The adrenaline you feel within your body pushes you forward, your heart pumping out of your chest. You actually are able to start moving. You move 10 feet further away from the beast that is currently in pursuit of you. As you sort of like scamper and crawl and like tumble and fall and get back up through this thick wooded area, large trees to either side of you flying by, the vined floor catching your feet ever so often. You're like having to like dodge them and catch yourself on a tree, but you are able to keep ahead of the creature currently behind you. Now, Trey, so this will be a series of 2 more athletics checks or acrobatics to your choice. Can I get your second acrobatics or athletics check?
You got it. That's a 13.
A
This one?
13. Okay. Because of your success last time, you did lower the DC for the second check. So you do manage to, you don't manage to gain any distance, but you do manage to keep ahead of the creature in pursuit of you. Now, can I get one final athletics check?
Uh-oh. That is a 9.
A 9. Once again, this one very lucky. Because of your 2 successes, it lowered the DC to 8. And you are able to keep ahead of the creature. And as you are running through this forest, you notice to your right a sort of large cluster of trees that you might actually be able to duck into to hide. You've gained enough ground, and the forest is thick enough that you may be able to duck in there and hide from the creature that is currently in pursuit of you.
Oh yeah, I'm going in. Absolutely.
You're going in?
I slide in like a really messy baseball slide. It's not graceful.
You sort of baseball slide in, dirt flying up. You get a bunch of dirt on your face, a little bit of mud in your hair, to join probably the other mud that's already in your hair. From sort of your first leg of this journey. And can I get a little stealth check just to see?
Uh-oh. We're not a stealthy boy. We are covered in armor and... Oh, hold on. Stealth. It's a 15 though.
A 15. Okay.
Yeah.
So you baseball slide in, mud flying up, and you like sort of tuck and roll. And you position yourself, you sort of wedge yourself up, your back against one of the trees, your feet against another tree that's very close, and you're sort of hidden by various bushes, and you hunker down, and you hear the sort of beating of this beast's claws on the ground start to slow, and it seems to have lost the trail, but you still hear it. You still hear it scratching. You still hear it almost like the sound of it like sniffing to see if it can find your scent. But luckily for you, it is unable to locate where you are. And after probably about 15 minutes, you hear it start to sort of circle back and start to head back to where it originally chased you from. And it starts to feel like you can probably come out now.
He takes a second, breathing hard after the beast leaves, and just sort of lets out a deep sigh and sort of lays half of his face down on the ground. It's muddy, so it just kind of makes a little splat sound as his face kind of hits the side of the mud. And just goes,
This better be worth it this time. Jesus Christ.
And as you say this, Trey, you think back to how arduous and long this journey has been thus far. You have endured blistering colds and scorching deserts. Or, well, maybe not that, but what has felt like blistering colds and scorching deserts. But you are in the last leg of this journey. Your mission is not over, and you must press on to find what you are in search of. And as you keep pushing forward through the wood, you find yourself at the base of a rocky cliffside. And looking around, you notice a few key details that signify that this is actually where you were looking to go within the woods. And what you seek, you have heard, waits for you just atop this cliff. In this being the highest cliffside in the Midsummer Wood. All that stands in front of you and your prize of sorts, a prize not for you, but that you have gone to fetch, is a straight climb up this cliff.
oh boy. Trey kind of squints tiredly at the side of the cliff and looks up and sort of stretches out his lower back and starts doing little stretches. And I goes,
Gotta limber up, you know? Gotta crack
Limber
those.
up. Oh God.
Crack those bones, you know? Maybe flex a little bit. Get ready to hoof it up the side of this cliff. Now, give me a athletics check to see how you begin your ascent up the side of this cliff.
so athletics?
Athletics or acrobatics.
Athletics. Cool. No, this is good. I think he's going to cast enhance ability on himself.
Oh.
Just to make sure he doesn't fall on his buttocks. And he's going to give himself bull's strength. The target has advantage on his strength checks, and his or her carrying capacity doubles. So
Amazing.
he can-
Now, Trey.
Uh-huh.
How do you cast your magic? Is it from components or is it from a focus?
He has a druidic focus, which sort of hangs on a little belt in front of his armor, and it's a bear's claw.
Okay. So as you conjure up the magic for enhance ability, you grab the your druidic focus, and you sort of drag it across one shoulder, like one pauldron, sort of meeting it to the paw that holds the pauldron on. Then you toss it to the other hand, you drag it across the other pauldron, and it leaves sort of like streaks of gold magic that don't tarnish your armor, but you see them sort of like billow off, and as they do, you put the druidic focus back to its resting place, and the gold magic that's sort of like siphoning off of you then latches onto either shoulder, and now there are two sort of bare claw marks glowing on either pauldron in gold, and your gold eyes start to begin to glow and become a little more gold as you are imbued with the bear strength.
That's so cool.
Now,
All right.
okay, go ahead. So I assume you're going to roll athletics.
I'm rolling athletics, but I get to do it with advantage, baby. And it's a good thing I did. First roll's a 2.
Oh, okay.
And then that's better. That's an 18. There we go.
18. Damn, okay. Much better than a 2. So, Trey, imbued with the bear strength, your hands latch onto the cliffside and you start to pull yourself up, and you now sort of gold glowing sort of spectral bear claws appear on either of your hands as you, with this extra strength, just actually like start to, even when there isn't a handhold, where you might have slipped from an undexterous grasp, your hand breaks the stone and you make little finger holds as you do, and your toes in your armored boots just kick in and you just start yanking yourself up the side of the cliff. I'll say with an 18, you we can just do the one roll for the cliffside as you make your way up. It takes probably, it's a very tall cliff. Even with this sort of like straight up strength climbing, probably takes you a good 15-20 minutes to get up there. But as your hands reach the top of the cliff, you feel sort of not the hardness of rock, but the comfort of grass as you palm the top of the cliff and then push yourself up to the top. Your golden eyes cresting above as you see the prize in which you seek. In front of you is a small bush with colorful leaves, with a single blossom on it. This is the ever-fabled blueberry cupcake bush, with a single blueberry cupcake growing out of a singular stem. Known only to bloom under a summer's moon, you have been sent to retrieve this for one of the noble Fae of the Summer Court.
Trey sort of like drags himself over the cliffside and is just like staring at this bush and contemplates just eating it. He's like, what if I just ate this right now? And then he sighs and picks himself up and he pulls a little handkerchief out from his armor and sort of snaps it and gently wraps the cupcake in it and puts it in a little bag.
As the thoughts of eating it come over your mind, Trey, you are reminded of the consequences of failing a task, a mission conscripted to you by one of the Fae nobles. And truly, the negatives outweigh the positives of satiating your hunger in this moment.
I mean, they've already got me doing this stuff. Could it get worse? Yeah, it could get worse.
It could get a lot worse, and you could your conscription to the summer court could get a lot longer. And
He sighs.
having weighed the consequences, wrapped up the cupcake, you make your way down the cliffside and spend the 4-day journey going through the thick woods of the Midsummer Woods, passing by the river in which you had to cross, which brings up those memories, that fish you tried to catch for dinner on your way there, that turned out to be a giant river snake that poisoned you, that you had to find a salve to sort of siphon out the poison from, narrowly escaped death. And you make your way back to the gates of the summer court. They open up as if knowingly a friend is near, but no one is there to greet you. The court is bustling with various Fae nobles as they go about their days, some probably debaucherously so. And you know that you are in search of the noble that sent you on this quest, known as Lake Meridian Vale.
Is there any, like, I'm assuming I had sort of like a little official little summon, not like a summons, but like a little fancy piece of paper that told me who it was for and their full title, and does it tell me where to find them, or is it
It doesn't tell you where to find them. Things are never easy with the Eladrin. But yes, you have a little letter, not quite as official and as grand as the summons we saw with Oak, but you have a little letter that you would get normally to send you on these various errands. And in previous experiences, you know that this is somewhat of the worst part of the journey, in which you must inquire within the court where this Eladrin is by asking other Eladrin.
Oh, Lord. Trey rolls up the little piece of paper, and he's sort of got resting bitch face happening most of the time. But as he sort of realizes what he has to do, he takes a little deep breath. And then he puts on his customer service face, and he walks up to the closest Eladrin and says,
Good evening. Do you know where I could find a Lake Meridian?
Sorry, who are you asking for?
He checks. Oh.
he checks the paper again.
Lake Meridian, I think.
Oh, do you mean Lake Meridian Vale?
His smile gets tighter.
Yes. Lake Meridian
Oh.
Vale, correct.
Well, I think I last saw him in the southern wing looking through the library. But he could be gone by now.
And how long ago was that?
I don't know. It could have been 2 hours ago. Could have been 2 days. It's just the last time I saw him.
Thank you for your time.
And Trey turns around and just like immediately the face drops, just like, oh my god. And he goes to find the next person.
And Trey, as you turn around, you almost feel the eyes of the Eldrin like drop, and you're a shorter bloke. So the Eldrin are almost always taller than you. So they quite literally look down upon you, but they also figuratively look down upon you. And you can almost feel that from her eyes in the back of your head as you turn around and head to the southern wing where the library resides. And
Is there people around me?
As you come into the library, the order is attached. The little letter you have has a little picture, like almost like a micro painting of the noble that you're looking for, and you don't see them, but you do see various other Eldrins that you could inquire to.
I shall inquire.
Okay. So we'll say you walk up to a pair of Eldrin currently sort of perusing some various research novels, and they sort of like look up at you, but like that sort of like if I had a pair of glasses on hand, I would do it. You know when someone like looks up at you over their glasses, kind of like demeaningly?
Oh no. Oh no, yes.
What do you want?
Lake Meridian of Vale, have you seen them?
I don't know. The other one pipes up and who didn't look at you and is like, why are you talking to the help? And this one is like, well, I don't know. He asked me a question. I guess I asked him first, but whatever. Look, I think the last time I saw Vale was in the East Wing in the ballroom.
Excellent. I'm sorry for taking up some of your time.
And the other one goes, yeah, you better be sorry.
He nods to both of them, and then as he turns around is like, you know that thing that cats do when they kind of when you get them all riled up and they scrunch their little faces and their little canine teeth kind of poke out?
Yeah. He's
doing that. he's got pointier canine teeth than most humans.
Trey, you make your way from the southern wing all the way over to the eastern wing to the ballroom. And inside the ballroom, sort of sitting at a table, having whatever meal of the day. As you know, many of the Fae here don't necessarily prescribe to like sort of that regular like 3 meal a day breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like sometimes it's just like a feast for hours. Sitting there at a table with a few other Eldrin is one matching the image you have of Lake Meridian Vale. Tall, slender, particularly slender for a male Eldrin, with a rather flamboyant nature. His colors often sit within the summer domain, for Eladrin, which is currently due. And the flowers that sprout from his body are vibrant with saturated hues of purple and pink, yellow and orange. He's very ostentatious.
Yeah, Trey is kind of like internally going, oh god, here we go. Because he's dealt with this kind of person before. He wanders up and
you notice that they're currently sort of mid conversation. You hear them sort of laughing and and talking about.
I'm just gonna stand to the side and wait until there's a break in the conversation. I know better than to interrupt them while they're talking.
They keep talking, and then it's actually Lake that notices that you're just sort of standing there, and he like holds one hand up. Clearly, in this social circle, Lake holds the social power, holds his one hand up and silences the group, and sort of like turns over his shoulder to you and says, sorry, can we help you with anything?
Trey bows his head to Lake and pulls the little pouch containing the cupcake out of his bag and presents it to him and just says,
The cupcake you requested, sir.
The cupcake I requested? I asked for this like 5 days ago. I don't want this now. Ugh, take it away.
Sir, it took 5 days to get the cupcake. It's quite a long journey.
That's not my fault. You're slow.
My apologies, sir. I will be faster next time.
You better be. I didn't get my cupcake. Look at all this that I already ate. Because I didn't get my cupcake. Ugh, I'm rather stuffed. And with that, when he says that, all of his little like friends, Eladrin, start to like laugh as he says, I'm rather stuffed. Like, like, you're incorrigible. Absolutely incorrigible.
Right. Well, is there anything else I could do for you?
No. Just be gone.
Very well. Have a good evening. I hope your feast was delicious.
and he turns around and leaves.
And you hear from like, would have been better if I had my cupcake 5 days ago. Ugh. In these moments, Trey, of utter frustration, where do you go when you've completed a task, you don't have another one as of yet, or as of that you know of? Where do you go to just like blow off steam? Like, do you go to your sort of in-court barracks? Do you go to one of the various sort of training circles?
There are two places I would go, and probably for this one, because all he wants to do is scream right now. He is going into the middle of the woods, and he is climbing a tree, and he is going to attempt to whittle something. He's not good at whittling. it doesn't turn out well.
Okay, give me a dexterity. Just give me a general dexterity check. I want to see how good you are at whittling.
Let's go.
Or do you have does he have any tools?
What do we have? I do not have any tools. No.
Okay. All good. Give me a general dexterity check.
All right, let's see. Oh, my boy's rolling good today. That's a 17.
A 17. Okay. Maybe it's the utter frustration. Maybe it is the urge to scream that like hyper focuses you, and you're not a very good whittler. You don't have a ton of whittling experience, and you haven't really had anyone to teach you whittling or any access to any like literature on how to whittle. So it's still not great, but for you, Trey, it's pretty darn good.
The little animal I'm whittling has a face, and that's more than I can say for any of my other attempts.
And Trey, as you are up in this tree whittling, you feel like two large shakes, as if like someone was like knocking on the bottom of the tree. Shake your tush as you're sitting on the tree there, and you hear a voice shout out, "Oi, Fennbrooke, what you doing up there?"
I almost make a snarling sound, but when I hear that voice, I instantly sort of take a deep breath.
You always know where to find me.
Damn right I do. Now, come on down there and say hello to the old gal. I haven't seen you in like 5 days. Where the hell were you?
Give it a guess. I bet you won't guess it.
Let me see. One of them fluffy Eldrin, whatever, want you to go get some sort of fabled what's-a-mahoozy from what's-a-mahits.
What's the hits you think it is?
I don't know.
I'll give you 3 guesses.
Well, some magical Grey Poupon from, I don't know, a cave in the edge of the midsummer woods.
You're close. It's a food. I'll give you that.
It's a food.
More
It's a
guesses.
food. Well, I don't know. Some like cornucopia of goods from some what's-a-place deep within some scary place.
I did get chased by a rather large beast. So,
Wow.
you got that
I
part
mean,
right.
it is owlbear season, so
Is that what that was? Damn.
yeah, they be mating like crazy. Gotta be careful out there.
You got one more guess?
You know, I did hear some nobles the other day talking about some weird, like, blueberry cupcake thing.
Ding, ding, ding.
And he drops
Wow.
the package down the tree towards.
And her, like, furry paws reach up and catch it. And she, like, pulls the like, handkerchief you have off of it. And she goes, well, what will you have there? It's a blueberry cupcake. These things really do grow on trees. Hey, you want to come down from there? We can split half of it.
Who says this job doesn't have perks, huh?
He
I
slaps
say
down.
this job doesn't have perks. We're basically servants, but we gotta go do really deadly things.
You're telling me, my guy. All right, let's have a little cupcake.
Okay, so you make your way down and you join one of the few friends you have here in the Fae Court. Another of Oberon's conscripted warriors. We'll put warrior in quotes. Intern, warrior, indentured servant. Whoa, take your pick. A female furbolg by the name of Bywin Beachshard. She's thick, muscular. You both have undergone similar sort of rigorous physical training. Her fur is of reddish brown hue, and she is sort of like light color spotting in her fur along her nose and her cheekbones, over her shoulders, running down her arms, and then along her sort of like hind flanks, running down her legs, almost as if they were like freckles within her fur. And as you come down, as you're like climbing down the tree, she reaches up a hand to help you down. And as you land on the ground, she like, you guys do the predator meme.
Yeah.
Where you grab and then she like pulls you into like a big furball hug. My guy. Ugh. Okay. And then she splits the blueberry up in half and she gives you one half. She starts munching on the other and is like, wow. I'm not gonna lie, this thing's pretty great. I don't know if it's worth like 5 days of journey, but best thing I ate this week.
You know what? You always look on the bright side, and that's the best
My
thing
guy,
about
all we got is the bright side. It's pretty grim here. All them pretty folk really just be flouting around and we're doing all the grunt work. I tell you, this society would go to shit if it wasn't for us.
Oh, but they couldn't. They couldn't go without a day's walking without several of us and several ponies and peacocks and whatever the hell else they got going on in there.
Oh my god. I had to clean up the peacock pen. Let me tell you, those things are beautiful in their feathers, not beautiful in their poop. Gross.
They also just scream like they're dying. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying
Oh,
little
God.
evil things.
I had to use a sleep spell to get them all down just so I could get the poop out of the pen. Ugh. Oh, actually, and she reaches into her satchel. That does remind me. I got this. Well, actually, you got this like a couple days ago, but looked real official. So I didn't just want to leave it around in the barracks. You know, the boys, they play lots of tricks. And she like pulls out a large scroll with gold embossing on it and a gold wax seal with the signia of Titania.
Do I get summons from? Have I done like jobs for Titania, or is
You have
Titania
not.
like a high level? Ooh.
You have not had any summons from Titania before. I would say this is almost something, Trey, in the time that you have been in the Fae realm, almost something you have dreamed of. Because up until now, I mean, you were conscripted by Oberon, but you have done very little for him in particular. But you have sort of been just made to have busy work with all of these people, all of these sort of lesser nobles running their errands, doing menial tasks and training. And getting a summons from Titania is potentially, well, there's two things. This could be either potentially really bad or potentially really great. Either you have done something very bad, or you could potentially have the invite to a great adventure that you have been waiting for.
I think
And
kind of panics for a second because he's like, did they know that I was gonna eat the cupcake? Did they know somehow? Oh
And
god.
with that look on your face, Bywin like gets a little smile on her face as she's holding out. And she's like, "Hey, you do something you want to tell me about? Am I about to never see you again?" So you sleep with one of them? Oh my god, I've heard horror stories about people who slept with one of them. Oh god. Turned to stone, turned to bubbles. Oh god. Rest in peace.
I didn't sleep with anyone.
Oh, thank god. They're so skinny too. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? It's just like,
I'd snap him in half, probably.
yeah, you're right, I would. Especially those Eldrin males, they're like little twigs. I get it, because they're like trees, they're like little twigs.
Have to really root down, you know what I'm saying?
Ah, yeah, you do. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. She like slams the scroll into your stomach. She's like, okay, or open it already. I want to know what's in there.
He looks both a little bit terrified and also a little bit excited, but he's trying not to be. He's trying to hide it because he knows that he's like, I'm probably gonna be disappointed. Probably gonna be either messed up or it's gonna be another mundane task. So he opens the scroll and he's just like smiling, but just like a little bit.
Okay. And as you like slowly open the scroll, I imagine you're like almost unfurling it line by line. And as you reveal it, it reads to you: a summons has been put upon Trey Fennbrooke. He is to be lent into the services of Queen Titania herself, on loan from Oberon's reserve of warriors. Trey is to report to the Queen's chambers in the Summer Court on the 13th day of the current month for further instructions. He will be accompanied by other summonees for this mission and must treat them as if they were fellow brothers and sisters in arms. Should he fail this mission, Trey will be subject to consequences such as extension in servitude, reduction of wages, or death. Signed, the Great Summer Court of Her Royal Majesty Titania.
I think Trey just sits there staring at it, trying to figure out like, I think it's good. Maybe it's good. I don't know if it's good. And he just kind of like looks for the piece of paper and if ever went like, and the back of the paper, and then he just kind of holds it out at her to read.
Byron like rips it out of your hands and reads it. She's like, holy shit, you get to do a big one. Huh. Better than sitting around here, am I right? Oh my god, I mean, you could die, and if you fail you could die, but like, come on, it's better than this. And then she like opens the scroll again and she goes, and she like pulls it down. She's like, Trey, you do know what today is, right?
He squints at her for a second, and his like sleep-deprived brain is trying to make sense of Fae time versus his human perception of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then his eyes widen.
Oh god damn it.
Yeah, it's the 13th day of the month. You gotta get going, you dumb bloke. And she helps you up and like pushes you forward. She's like, go already. My god, you don't want to be late. You could die a third way. My god,
You're gonna kill me before I even get started.
She like waves you off as you like start to like make your way to the central wing where Titania's chamber exists, sort of towards the back of the Summer Court. And with that, we will depart from Trey. And at this moment, as we've gone through two of our cast members, opening scenes, we will take a little break and we will re-enter with our next adventure in about 10 to 15 minutes. So everyone have a little break, have a little stretch, hydrate yourselves, and we will see you in a second. Welcome back, everyone. We return to our next adventurer, who appears to be missing from frame.
It's
So
weird. Let me reshare. It stopped.
give us 1 second. There we go.
Waffle.
Okay. For our next adventurer, we dive underneath the subtle waves of the Lake of Dream, nestled just outside of the Sealy Court territories. Surrounded by lush flora, this lake is brimming with life. And unbeknownst to those who dwell on land, this lake is not simply what it seems. From above, it looks like sort of a regular any-size lake. But from within, it expands to a vibrant underwater society with its own nobility, caste system, and the like. And here, in the central palace, is where we find our next adventurer. Within the sanctum that is the Palace of Dreams, a youthful prince runs combat drills in one of the various training dojos. Remy, please describe who we see.
Okay. So we're underwater, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a beautifully somewhat, I guess he wouldn't be considered tall in the state of the current dojo because it's all merfolk and they're all kind of long people. But he's this lengthy young man, and he's got bright orange hair, kind of like the colors that you see on a koi fish. And he has not appearing in his regular look, but when he is a merfolk, he has underwater, he has like scales that just kind of like glide across his cheeks. He's got floppy fin ears, and he is wearing a very large piece of lotus-esque symbol on his chest, which can kind of be seen around the dojo itself as well. And he's got really his fin also would remind one of a koi fish. Very white. There's white, black, orange, red in the fin, and it's just like the fin kind of has the ends of the fin is very it kind of looks flowy and dress like. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. So we come to see Io, the Moonless Prince, training in one of the various training dojos. And Io, you are currently sparring with the second child of your mother, Queen Sarula Eileen, a sibling you're quite close to, who is very clearly not taking this very seriously. the second child to your mother, Ningyo, has had a penchant, doesn't really have a penchant for physical prowess. She's much more versed in the arcane arts. And being the first of Sarula Eileen's children to attend the academy in the City of Starlight. Io, you being the second. But she offered to spar with you today as your assigned partner had bailed on you last minute. So she sort of like very lazily holds sort of two long swords that are dulled for sparring purposes, and she's kind of like flitting about and like she like swims above you and then goes under you, and is definitely not following the protocol of how you are supposed to spar with one's partner. She's like, Io, come on, this is so boring.
Sister, when you said you'd spar with me, I was hoping that you would, spar and not... I mean, this could be good for you, too.
I don't need to know all this, like, swordy nonsense when I can just summon whatever I want to do my fighting for me. Like, She, like, floats backwards and floats forwards up to you, and she's like, anyways, you're learning magic, so soon you won't need these little bladey things either, right?
I think it's always useful to use these swords.
Fine.
Just do one spar with me, and then we can do whatever you want after.
Oh my god. Okay. What will we do after? We should go seahorse racing. Yes. 100%. She's like, okay, on guard ye. Like very dramatically holds up both swords.
Okay. Just once, just follow the protocol. If you remember it, which I hope you do, because we had to learn it at one point.
Yeah. And she like readies herself in like an actual like defensive stance. She looks at you. Is this good?
That's perfect. Thank you, sister. And he readies himself as well. And he'll let, because she's taking the defensive stance, he will go to attack.
Okay. Give me an acrobatics check.
Okay. That's a 17.
A 17. Okay. So you how do you go to spar with her? What is your opening maneuver?
Because she's in a more defensive stance. I'm assuming her swords are up. He goes to he's very light on his fins. He moves with the water, like, and it's a quick action of kind of just like kind of like twirling to one side of her to attack her from what he knows is like her stronger hand, than going for her weaker hand.
Okay. So you go in and you sort of like you fake going one side and then you go into her other side, and she puts up a defensive strike, but you are too quick for her, and you are able to sort of like you do in sparring. You're obviously not going for like a blow, and your weapons are dull, but you manage to get in a little jab into her shoulder. And she's like,
Yeah, he'll use the end of his scimitar if like his roll is high enough to do just like a quick twirl to give her a jab.
she's like, see, this is why this doesn't work. Cause like you're really fast and like I can't use magic. Like
You know what? Why don't you use magic? We'll allow it.
and she like pulls back. She's like, oh, I don't want to hurt you. That would not be a good idea.
Well, then I feel like maybe we just finish for the day.
I mean, if we have to finish for the day, I mean, I won't complain.
He holds his hands out so that she can give him the two long swords.
And she like flips them and hands you both of them. So your hands are on the hilts.
He takes them and he brings them back to the part of the dojo where they keep the dull weapons.
And as you are doing that, Io, you do notice in the court next to you, rather loudly and almost with clear put on display, you hear the sounds of another one of your siblings training alongside what was his assigned partner, one of the various guards to the Palace of Dreams, is Suyo, the fifth child of Sarula Eileen, with his quarterstaff. And you can hear like very aggressive, like, you know, when tennis players give their like, huh, 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 grunts. He very clearly doesn't need to be doing this, but because potentially your court is beside his, he wants to give a somewhat of a display for you specifically.
And he just stands there, hands over, well, arms folded over his chest and just like watches. Well, it looks like Suyo is training as well.
And without really looking over to you, he like very like grandly like twirls his quarterstaff above him, and then goes in for like a side swipe and the guard he's sparring with, and then holds it just short of actually dealing a blow to him in the side of his ribs, and then like he flicks his hair in the water and like turns and looks at you as you're like putting the weapons down, and he's like and then he like goes back to sparring again.
The guard is sweating.
The guard is like, this is the most intense sparring session I've had in so many years.
I thought we were supposed to be sparring, but I'm fighting for my life.
And your sibling Suyo, more so than your other siblings and then most merfolk, is actually quite he's quite muscular and built, having really dedicated his life to martial arts. So almost he is somewhat of a spectacle to see among, I would say, the merfolk, known for his immense strength.
He's got like the, you know, like the maids who are just like walking by, but like they ooh and ah as they like walk past. Yeah.
Yes.
He's got
Yeah.
a little fan base.
Yeah. The like the three girls in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's the Gaston.
Yes.
Io, knowing that, or assuming Suyo's just making attention as he often does. Puts away the weapons, turns, and addresses his sister. What was her name again? Sorry.
So her name is Ningyo.
Nino. Okay. And goes, all right, sister, what was it that you said you wanted to do?
Seahorse racing!
That sounds lovely. Let's go do that.
And as she says that and you respond, sort of carried through the tides, you hear the call of the queen ring throughout the palace. Conch trumpets blare a regal tune over the waves and echoing through the palace. And quickly you realize it is the call to assemble the royal family.
Or, I suppose seahorse racing will have to wait another day.
And she looks at you, she's like, no. I wonder what mother wants now.
Well, it must be something if it's for the whole royal family.
You
don't want
do
to
know that, in fact, this is potentially carries quite a bit of importance, as it's not something often done. As you know, your mother has many offspring, and it is really hardly required for them all to be in attendance for anything. She like crosses her arms, she looks at you, and she's like, I guess it's just all of the younger ones are so annoying.
I mean, sister, when has it been since you've last been summoned by mother? This is good for you.
Is it? I just want to swim and have fun and not have to deal with any of this. That is for big sister to deal with. I'm not going to be queen, she is.
But you are still a princess.
Yeah, but I'm
Second
not.
one.
Yeah, but I'm not the princess that's going to be queen. So that means I get to have the fun of being a princess without the responsibility.
Well, you can have fun, but there's always responsibility in being.
Is there? If you really don't want there to be, I think there doesn't have to be.
There certainly is. You just choose to ignore them.
Whatever. And she like puts her arm along your back and starts like swimming with you to head to the royal chamber. And sort of following swiftly behind, you do notice he like very quickly puts away his training weapons and like very quickly catches up to you guys and then like looks over at you and like gives you a frown and then like swims ahead of you guys to get there
And then,
before
like,
you
there's
do.
The air bubbles just like hit our face.
Yeah, just like and she's like, she like brushes them away and she's like, oh my god, what is Suyo's problem?
I have no idea.
Oh my god, someone needs to get that guy an attitude adjustment.
They needed to give that to him eons ago. I think it's too late.
Yeah. My god, I thought you were serious. That guy, he is Mr. Serious.
I'm not that serious. I'm willing to go seahorse racing with you.
You're pretty serious.
Well, I am of age to be serious, sister.
You are only how old as you feel.
Yeah, show rules for you. We really cannot be late for this. You cannot be late for this.
Fine, I'll pick up the pace. And she like twirls and then starts swimming faster. And as you guys make your way, you come into the royal courtyard, where you see various of your other siblings congregating in sort of like a semicircle around this like circular chamber. And there's quite a few of them. There are ones that are very, very young. They're where if we thought that Oak had a lot of grandchildren, having 18 grandchildren, Sarula Eileen has a lot of children. But so is the difference between the land dwellers and the merfolk. This is not something unusual, though it is sort of a point of pride for the royal family to be the largest family in the kingdom. But merfolk tend to have quite large families already. And as you assemble, the two of you sort of like almost like file into the like crowded line, like circular line of children, taking in your spots with Ningyo actually right beside Suyo, with you beside Ningyo. And the chamber you're in is circular. There are various sort of spiral pillars peppered throughout the exterior of it, along with coral and seaweed and other like colorful sea rocks building up the walls and decorating some of the floor. It almost gives it this like rainbow effect throughout the chamber, as the sun sort of like beams in through the top of the waves and through sort of like there's like a hole cut out, almost like it was like a sunroof within this chamber, out of the stone that makes up the palace. And as the sunbeams hit like various rocks and things, they almost like sparkle in the light and in the water.
It's a pretty sight.
And as the last of her children arrive, your mother, the queen, sort of comes off of her throne and takes her place in almost like a podium like pillar, where she has been before. You've seen her sort of like in this very official sense stand almost in royal decree, and she touches her hand to her throat, and you see her throat start to glow, and the gills along her neck almost like billow a little bit more, as she amplifies her voice for you all to hear, as this chamber is very large. And she addresses you all at once in a group. I have called you all here for an important matter. It appears that favor has been asked of us by the land dwellers. And there's like a rustle along the children. As you would know, Io, this is the first time communication has been sent between the two realms for a very long time, for your entire life.
Yeah. I think like he meets like his sister's eyes, because like they're both just kind of shocked, I guess, at the...
And she looks to you and she like whispers, she's like, well, this does sound serious.
Indeed.
Good thing you're the age to be serious and I'm not.
He shushes her again.
And she gets closer to him and she's like, because I'm the age that I feel, remember?
You already said that. Mother is going to speak.
And she like sort of like nudges you in the side.
And he like holds his like lips together in case like it hits a tickly spot and he doesn't want to laugh in this moment.
Yes. Sarula continues to speak. This ask has come in the form of a scroll. I shall read it to you now. And it is up to you, my children, to decide the fate of this favor. For it is you that has been asked to take up and help the land dwellers. But I digress. She pulls out the scroll and she reads, "To the would-be queen under the tides." And you can see, like, as she reads that line, her, like, eyebrow twitches a little bit. Like,
All the siblings just kind of like, they all have like a little grimace on their face.
We're off to a great start. We write to you and ask for favor. Should you accept, we may begin to bridge a gap that formed long ago. Should you decline, the gap will only widen. In short, we seek the aid of one of your own. One of the royal children, as many know of their prowess in and out of combat. And as she says this, ever so often, she is clearly, like, her eyes, like a great speaker, are like sort of going across the room, and ever so often her eyes land on you, Io. And with this line of their prowess in and out of combat, she makes eye contact with you just briefly and keeps going.
He like straightens up even more when they make eye contact.
Mm-hmm. Should you allow them? One child of adult age, and then you hear from the younger siblings a couple of groans, some sighs of relief come out, may arrive at our borders to be welcomed by a Seelie scouting party and brought forth to the inner sanctums of the summer court. This child will join various other adventurers to aid Titania in a great and urgent quest. The quest will be long and arduous, but should they succeed, the boon they will bring back with them will surely benefit both our court and that of the Lake of Dreams. Our scouts will wait at your borders for 1 week to retrieve your chosen child. Signed, the Great Summer Court of Her Royal Majesty Titania. She closes the scroll and puts it down. But, like, you're underwater, so she almost, like, sort of, like, lets it go and it just, like, floats there for a second. Yeah. Now, this ask does not come upon me, but upon my children, and she gestures. You all. So, while I may hold my own reservations, I will not stop one of you who wishes to take up a potentially noble task. That said, I will not volunteer for you. This want to benefit both courts must come from you. And in that, she looks, at the end of that sentence, she looks at you, Aya, once again. Her eyes catch yours.
He meets her eyes and he takes a step forward, not a step, a swim forward. And he goes, Mother, allow me to volunteer.
And as you're speaking, Suyo notices you move forward and swims and like puts himself slightly closer than you are, and he starts talking over you and says, I volunteer for this great honor, Mother.
I believe, brother, I was volunteering and I have been to the surface, which you have not.
And his eyes dart to you. And he goes, this is obviously a great adventure. I am the most talented one on the battlefield. So I must be the one to take this up. You cannot leave it to, and he gestures to you, this one.
I argue that you need to be diplomatic to take this quest as well, and it's something you could work on. Diplomacy, social communication.
She holds up her hands. Now, children, let's not bicker. Would anyone else like to volunteer for this task? And her eyes gloss over the two of you and look at the back row, but none of your siblings step forward. Very well. Seeing as we have 2 volunteers, a test of skill, I think, should decide who goes and who stays. Would the 2 of you be amenable to that?
Of course, whatever will help figure this situation. He looks over at Sio out.
And Sio comes forward and a little bit more, and he says, I am ready for whatever task you ask of me, Mother. She goes, very well. And her hands rise, and from the ground, sort of like the ground of the court raises up slightly higher so that the central circle is at the same height as her podium and slightly higher than where all of you guys were lined up. Step into the ring, my children. And she gestures for the 2 of you to come up.
He lets Suyo go first because he knows the other one's gonna just shove him out of the way to avoid that. And then he'll follow after.
And she looks at the 2 of you. First, we will test your prowess in combat. And from the sort of sides of this circular raised platform, open up and release a quarterstaff for Sio, and then you have 2 scimitars, right?
Yeah, I have 2 scimitars, and I also have a longbow, but...
Okay. And releases 2 scimitars and a longbow for you. Now that you are adorned with your chosen weapons, you will test who is really stronger in combat. And she looks at Sio. And I will test who is stronger out of combat. From this, I will select which of you will take this mantle. She like swims back to her chair and she puts one hand up as if to signal to be ready. And begin, and drops her hand. And so, Io, can I get you to roll initiative for me?
Yeah.
So,
Here I go. A 19.
19. Okay. 19 initiative for you. Okay, so Sio, I don't have art for him yet, so he's going to be blank over here, but if you would like to add yourself on the opposite side of this chamber.
Yes, let me do that.
And I will roll initiative for Sio. Okay.
I imagine Suyo looks like, you know? Broad shoulders.
So he rolled a 14, so you will take the first turn in combat.
Wahoo! Io is going to put his scimitars behind him where he usually has like an area for it, and then pick up his longbow and the quiver, I assume that comes with it. He's going to swing the quiver over his behind him, and for his attack, for his first attack, he is going to draw out his longbow and arrow from the quiver, and he prepares to take aim directly at Suyo. I'm Io.
Okay.
And then he and he will take shot.
Okay.
It's an 11.
An 11 does not hit. So Io, you ready a arrow from your quiver into your bow. You notch it to that familiar spot on your lip and you loose it. But it appears the tide is against you and the arrow just goes shy of Suyo as he stands with his quarterstaff, stern, unmoving, unflinching, as the arrow just grazes the side of his face.
And like the corner of his lip twitches a little, but it's very hard to notice. And he goes, "That was a warning shot, little brother." And he will drop the longbow. And because it's in the water, it just kind of like floats there. And he is going to take out one of his focus on the arcane focus that he has attached to one of his scimitars, actually, kind of like a keychain dangle. And he is, as a bonus action, he is going to use a sort of magic, and it's Blade Song, but basically, like, from the view of the crowd, it looks like there's just like kind of like an air of magic around him that makes the still water start to like whirl and twirl. And like his hair like lifts up more into the water. And even though like nothing about him has changed, there is like just a different air around him now.
And the water rustling up around him, his hair sort of moving up a little bit, much like Ariel. Their little bubbles come off, as if like he were swimming very quickly, but in a circle around his body, though his physical form has not changed.
Yeah. And I believe that is the end of his turn.
Okay. Sio looks at you sort of like dead in the eyes, and he says, I need no warning shot, brother. And D5, I believe he can get to you. So you guys have a swim speed of 60, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
I
Okay.
think
So he swims up to you, and like he takes a straight shot towards you.
of 35.
35. Okay. He does he have stuff? He does. Okay. So he is going to use a 1 key point to Step of the Wind, to make the extra distance to you.
Oh my god, he's a one. Good for him.
And he comes up and he swims over you, and he brings his quarterstaff down and swings it through the water to sort of crack you on the top of your head.
Huh.
So with his first attack, that is our first official natural 1. So, I'm gonna assume a 9 doesn't hit you.
No.
With utter confidence, he swims forward and comes up and swings down at you, but just you sort of like without much movement, you flick to the side and he just utterly misses you and like swim, like the quarterstaff goes and like pulls him down further, and then he like looks up at you and you can see like the anger in his eyes, and he looks up and he is going to
It doesn't help that when Ayu looks down at him, it does look quite like he's looking down at him, kind of like how the Elderins were looking down at Trey.
Yes, exactly. Actually, that is all he's going to do because he used his bonus action Step of the Wind to get to you. So that is going to be his turn. So he's like slightly lower than you in the water, looking up at you with just utter disdain.
He goes, was that a warning shot, brother? And then he is going to, with one hand, take out the scimitar that has the arcane focus on it. And so that's on his offhand. And then from his free hand, he is going to summon Shadow Blade, and it starts off with he says arcane words, and he makes a motion with his free hand, and darkness starts to like gather, especially in a very bright place like the palace, and it just it forms almost like the shape of a scimitar, but it's made of full shadow. He's going to cast that at level 2.
Okay.
And that is his bonus action. And he is now going to use his action to attack Suyo. So he's going to take his Shadow Blade, kind of twirl it in his hands, and when he like moves with the blades, especially in Blade Song, it kind of looks like the blades are like an extension of his limbs than rather like him holding a weapon.
Mhm.
And his movement almost feels like a dance as he gracefully slashes, or I guess it's piercing. Is scimitar slashing or piercing?
You can slash.
Yeah, it's slashing. Okay, so slashes the scimitar down on Io, the Shadow Blade scimitar.
Okay.
On
Go ahead and
Suyo,
roll your
why do
attack.
I keep doing that? Okay. Shadow Blade. It. I think I can just do a regular attack. Cool. I didn't put a Shadow Blade attack, did I? That's okay. This should work. It's a 15.
A 15 does hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay, it is a 2d8 physic damage. Let me roll that. Dice. 2d8. That is an 11.
11. Okay.
And then he is going to take his other his offhand weapon with his scimitar, and he's going to kind of like spin in spot to slash him again.
Okay.
Let me roll that. That's a 24.
24 definitely hits.
Yay! And because he has a level in fighter and he has 2-weapon fighting, his offhand also takes. I'm going to be adding his dex on his offhand as well.
Okay.
And that's a 6.
Okay, another 6 points of damage. Okay, nice. Cool. So you, Io, you summon your Shadow Blade, and the room sort of like gets a little bit dimmer as the blade forms and releases shadow energy. And in your other hand, you hold a regular scimitar. And in this like almost beautiful dance, you first take the shadow scimitar down and swipe through like the spectral blade like goes through the top of Suyo's shoulder, and then the other one you slash him across the like bridge of his nose and give him like a little scar across his face. As he like looks up at you, you go down and then across. And a little bit of blood just like seeps out, you know, like when blood is in water and it just like starts like pulling out a little bit.
Yeah. I
And
think I made him look more handsome, TBH, with the nose scar.
You can see the anger on his face start to grow, and he looks at you and he's like, "Oh, you're going to pay for that, little brother. I mean, big brother."
He might be bigger in person, but I am older than you, yes. In case you forgot how to count, little brother.
He rolls his eyes. And he you're staying there?
Yeah.
Okay. And so on his turn, he is going to take another quarterstaff strike at you. He's going to sort of spin and take the quarterstaff with him, almost making like a little whirlpool, and try and hit you across, like break it into your side as he spins up in the water. Ooh. You would not believe this.
Is it nat 20?
Nat 1 to nat 20.
Okay.
Hell yeah, Suyo. Okay. So that is D6.
0 to 100 indeed.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wait.
Shitty damage die. But that will be 4 plus 5, so that'll be 9 damage total for his quarterstaff strike.
Can I use silvery bards on him for his attack roll?
Yeah, you have a reaction.
Yeah. Okay, I use silvery bards.
Damn. From a nat 20 to a 2, I'm gonna assume a 10 doesn't hit you.
No, I think he's going to for silvery bards he like whispers something and only Suyo can hear it, but it like gives him that uncertainty where he was actually going to like 100% hit to like make him do really bad.
Yeah, he almost like invisibly, like through the water, your words reverberate, and almost voicelessly, but he understands the message. It's as if the tide itself pulls just at the last minute, pulls the quarterstaff away from you, and he like, as he's spinning, he comes to rest and spin, and his head spins back to you, and he looks again. You could see the rage in his mind, just building and building. He is going to use his bonus action to flurry of blows you.
Okay.
Are you joking? Are you joking? I am caging this dice. That would be another natural one on the first flurry of blows.
Suyo!
Suyo is really showing his ass. God.
He's got performance anxiety.
Truly. Second flurry of blows is a 13 total.
It does not hit.
So he almost like the anger that is building in him plus the frustration of the silvery barbs, he like tosses his quarterstaff for a second in the water. Again, it's like floating beside him, and he goes to like do 2 haymakers into you, and you, Io, are able to just like, you just sort of like gently push yourself back in the water. You like push back. Some of the bubbles like from his like fists make it up your face, but like he just misses, and he just keeps missing, and like he like lets out like an angry like as he like can't hit you.
And he's
that's
just
gonna be
like,
his turn.
Io doesn't seem to change his expression much, but like I feel like because they are very close in age, and they have sparred here and there, I assume, there is a bit of, once again, like just a little bit of like looking down, taunting feeling coming from Io, even if he is trying to keep himself as regal as possible during this fight.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's your turn.
He is going to, because he like moved back a little for the dodge, he uses his scimitars. He, like a dance, like twirls, and his cloak also like flows with the blades, much like like the sword dancing. And he attacks with his shadow blade first. Let me roll for that. A 19.
A 19 hits.
Okay, I'm going to roll my damages. That's a 5 plus 8. If I can do math, that's a 13.
Hey. As you strike down with your shadow scimitar, you sort of like flick it across his chest, and again the like shadowy spectral blade doesn't create physical injury, but with the psychic damage it creates it almost like, as it like slices through him. It's almost like when you get like a shock, and you see his body like tense up for a minute as the blade runs across his chest. He is looking. He's like trying to like tough it out, but you've done quite a bit of damage to him, and he's not looking too hot. You can see like a little bead of sweat pull off of him and go into the water.
He's going to hold his regular scimitar and have it just right by Suyo's chin and go, "You can give up anytime, you know, little brother."
And he like spits. And
Spitting
it
in water
doesn't
is kind of
like
useless.
it doesn't go to your face, but he like spits and like a little bit of blood comes out. He's like, I'm not gonna bow to you.
Well, then, okay. And he doesn't attack like the upper area, but he like slashes the scimitar down on Suyo's chest. And I assume if the man is titties out, yeah,
He is. This man do be titties out.
they all titties out up in here, up in here.
Titties out.
Let me add that. That's a 15.
A 15. A 15 does hit.
Oh! And that's 11 slashing damage.
11 slashing damage. Okay. As you slash against him, this time almost like going the opposite way that the shadow blade went up. This time you go down with the real scimitar, and a line of red goes across his pecs, from like the top of his pec where it meets the shoulder down his chest to like just before one of his nipples, and blood like pulls up, and like for a moment you can't see his face because the amount of blood that you release like just pulls up and goes out, and then you see him and he's like trying to keep a focus, but his eyes are like almost like vibrating. Like you can tell he's like getting close to being knocked unconscious.
And I think like with the amount of blood he drew, I was been keeping like a very like emotionless kind of like regal face, but at that moment, as like the blood kind of flows away with the water, like the people on the side that is able to see him, like you can almost see his like red eyes like kind of darken more, and there is a small smirk growing like on one corner of his lips.
Okay. Is that your turn?
That is my turn.
Okay. In this moment, your mother speaks up, holding up one hand. Suyo, will you yield? And he, like, grabs his quarterstaff again. Like, his arm, like, goes out, grabs it, and he looks at you. He looks at her, and he looks at you. He looks back at her, and he goes, I will not yield. And her hand comes down, and she goes, I have seen all that I have to see. And then her arms go up, and they like flick, and you feel the tide pull you and Sio apart. And she, with her power over the domain, pushes you apart to end the combat. And she says, she looks at Sio, she looks at you, and she says, Sio, you claim martial prowess over that of Io. But you are clearly outmatched on this day. You have also shown an inability to judge a situation, which speaks to your character out of combat as well. You shall not represent me in the Seelie court. That honor is bestowed to Io, and she gestures to you.
And I think when Suyo was being pulled away, and he was being like pulled the other side way, there was a bit of what's that word? There was a bit of like stubbornness, like he didn't want, like he's usually like very chill about things, but like that in that moment he kept wanting to fight. And it's only when she spoke and like addresses him that he once again like he rakes his fingers through his hair and kind of adjusts it a little and stands up tall and goes, "I would be honored to represent you, Mother, and your court."
Thank you, my child. And she looks to Sio. You obviously have more to learn before you could be an emissary of the Lake of Dreams. You should take note of your older brother. She looks back at you. His training has done him well. And you hear like a little bit of applause come from all of your siblings that you have just been sort of silently watching this spectacle.
And that seems to like make him lift his chest up a little higher. And he swims towards Suyo and extends his hand out and goes, "Perhaps we should find you medical treatment, little brother."
He looks at you and he swats your hand away and he says, "I'll be fine on my own, thank you." And then he turns and swims to exit the chamber.
And he goes, "Well done." He turns back to address his mother. "When would you like me to leave?"
And she like settles back down into her throne and she says, "At your earliest convenience, my child. Collect
Then I
your
shall-
things and you shall be off."
"Then I shall part right away."
Thank you. And please, send my best to Titania. And in this, almost imperceptibly, there is like a twinge to her brow as she says this.
He bows and he goes, "As you wish, Mother."
Okay. Io, you go to collect your things from your room, and there waiting for you is your prince's maid, your nanny of sorts, named Channery. Channery, a rounded woman with elements of clownfish in her tail and in her fins. She's always sort of been that like warm figure in your life since you were a child. All the children of Sarula are assigned either a princess or a prince's maid at their birth. And so Channery has actually been with you all your life.
And I love her.
And she's busy tidying up your room, putting away some of your clothes from earlier that day.
He goes, "Channery, huh? good thing you're here. You must help me pack
Oh.
immediately.
Oh, well, certainly, sir, but where are you going?
To the surface. to a
You're not going on
to
another
the,
one of your little excursions that you're not supposed to?
Of course not. I don't do that anymore, January. That was years
Well.
ago.
Well, if years ago was 2 weeks ago,
He like flinches.
I think someone might not have given up an old habit. But what is a old woman like me to say?
If you must know, I am representing Mother in the summer courts.
Her head spins first and then her body follows. You're doing what? You're going to the summer court? Oh,
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting.
It's more than interesting. It's the
Why?
opportunity of a lifetime.
Why?
It's for a favor.
A favor has been asked of your mother
Yes, no,
from
of
the
her
Queen
children,
of the Seelie.
of one of her
Oh.
children, and I volunteered. Well, I volunteered after beating Suyo, which he like smirks a little.
You volunteered for this.
Of course.
Your mother did
know
not
why.
ask you to do this over your other siblings.
No, I suppose she didn't want to play favorites.
Oh, well. Okay, well then, we must get you packed. And you must have all of the essentials.
Yes,
How many outfits
least-
can you bring, sir?
as many as possible. I'm going to
Okay.
another court.
Okay, well then I will give you a bag of holding, because you can only carry so many in one, like, vessel. But this will allow you to carry many, as many as you'd like. I'll get all of your favorites. It is summer there, so you won't need anything for cold weather, but I'll just pack something anyways.
Just in case, yes.
Yes, that's a good idea. And she swims out into like one of your various closets and comes back with this pouch that almost like sort of like almost like a it has a long strap and a little flap over top of it with a little clasp that is the insignia of the Lake of Dreams to close it. And she opens it up and she starts just like pulling, like going about your various wardrobes and pulling different like capes and scarves and silks and things. And oh, can't forget the jewelry. And she goes in and she goes into one of your closets and like grabs this like box and she like goes to open it and she's like, no, you might as well take them all. And she's like tossing all of them in this like really tiny little pouch for you that all of them just sort of like get sucked into and then begin to fill.
Perfect. He, on the other hand, is packing other essentials like skincare and also his weapons.
Yes, because the land dwellers don't have the same sort of products that you have. You have various salves and goops and things made from like crushed sea urchin and other sea creatures or just like sea plants that you can't necessarily get there. I dare say you have like a whole thing of like seaweed snacks, just in case you get a little grumbly on the way. And as you two pack up all of your belongings, she comes and Channery sort of drapes over your shoulder the bag of holding, which you can add to your inventory.
Wow.
And then she pulls out from a pouch of her own, and also something special for you. And she presents you with this little, like, metallic, actually not even metallic. I would say it's a shell, or what looks to be a shell. And it has a little in sort of carved in insignia of a rather gallant looking moth on top of the shell. And she pops it open and she says, just in case, you miss your favorite snack. And it is, within the shell are like 6 or 7 periwinkle snails, which are your favorite food.
Oh.
And then
He said,
she clamps it shut and she says, but you can't have any until you've gone.
yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay. And she opens the bag of holding up again and sneaks that into it and then closes it. You hear the little clasp shut tight. And she starts to brush you off and she says, and do you know how long you'll be gone, sir?
It says quite a while was.
Oh.
So
Well,
do what you'll have to take less care of my room. Just make sure the plants are alive when I get back.
yeah, of course, but I will miss you. Be careful. The land dwellers can be deceptive and dangerous. Don't even trust those in the court, okay? You hear me?
Yes, don't fear, Channery. I've been to the surface before.
I know, but you haven't ventured very far. And, well, obviously you went to the City of Starlight to go to the Academy, but that place is very different from where you are going.
How
And
so?
They may seem elegant, and they may seem poised and sophisticated, but even the summer court are nasty fae at their heart. Okay?
Interesting. All right. I will remember your warning.
She pats your shoulders. She swims up. She gives you a little kiss on the forehead. She says, "Okay, well, if you're going, get to going.
He nods.
Don't
and
want to
he
see an old woman
turns-
cry."
He was about to turn away, and then he turns back. He's like, "I'll miss you too, Channery." And then he
I'll miss you, sir.
starts to swim off.
A little tear pools in her eye and finds its way up.
Don't cry. He does look back, hesitate for a second, but just continue to swim off.
Okay. Io, you swim to the surface and make your way above the water, your mermaid tail transforming into legs. And you are greeted by a group of scouts from the Sealy Court, just as the letter had said. And they guide you from the Lake of Dreams along the Prisu Lake rivers, past the Timeless Spring, and into the Summer Court.
Long journey.
Here is where we will leave off with Io and come to meet our fourth and final adventurer.
Yay!
Now, we meet our final adventurer. On a cold evening, moon high in the sky, in the treetops of the Crispin Timberlands, a small abode nestled within one of the Owlin villages, with a warm hearth and a great deal of yelling. The door to this dwelling flies open and slams shut as a tall Owlin woman storms out. Mickey, could you please describe the woman that we see?
I would love to. Riya is an Owlin woman standing at 7'4". She is quite an intimidating and imposing figure. She's got feathers at the top of her head and feathers all down her arms, starting just below her shoulders down to her wrists. These feathers at her arms can stretch out into these Owlin wings, and though she is not using them at the present moment, I think as she storms out of this abode, they are ruffled, as you might see on a bird that has been recently upset. She has one eye that is this pure gold color, and her left eye, which is completely white and unseeing. She wears these little glasses with a little glasses chain. And for clothing, she has a very sort of simplistic blue look, with a small cape over her shoulders. You can tell that she's dressed for summer right now because it is currently summer in the court. But yeah, I think she's looking very upset.
Riya, having dressed not for the weather in the Crispin Timberlands, the chill of the cool night air catches you, and you feel it sort of run through your feathers, and they almost shake as you storm out of this dwelling. In your mind, you knew it was a mistake coming back here. But where did you have left to turn? All your research had run dry, or brought forth nothing but fallacies of various Fae gone by. Various tricks planted to lead adventurers and researchers astray. But as you pace on the sort of suspended deck around this dwelling, you know there is always another path. There is always another path. There is always another path. When one door closes, a window is always open. This is what drove you to what you did before, and this is what will keep driving you to get your power back once again. There must be something. You must have missed something. There must be some last hope, last straw. Can you go ahead and give me a history check?
Absolutely. That's a 16.
A 16, amazing. As you pace in thought, not knowing where to go, not knowing what your next step is, racking your brain through all of the pages and pages of research that you have stored in there, something clicks. And you recall a place, something within your notes. Whether it was like some sort of last-ditch effort, there was something that you had written down, and your hand finds its way into your satchel and you're rifling through your bag. There are various notebooks there, but they're not the ones that you're looking for until your fingers find the spiral bound of the notebook that you know you've written something in. And as you open it, you pull it out of your bag, you flick through the pages. Quickly, you're scanning, you're looking, you're scanning, and then your eyes stop on something. In the margins of a page, there are a few notes. Almost in like chicken scratch, like doctor's handwriting. They're even hard for you to make out, even though they're your
Owl
own
scratch,
handwriting.
please.
Owl scratch, yes, I'm sorry. Something about Reynard. A deal in question marks. And written below that, the Cave of Lost Things.
Riya looks at the notebook and sort of sighs heavily. And she, in frustration, slams it shut and stuffs it back in her bag. And she says, "The Cave of Lost Things? No one can find it. How the fuck am I supposed to find this cave?"
You pull
And then she pulls out her map.
Yes, you pull out your map. And in most maps that cartographers have made of the Fae realm, the Cave of Lost Things is noted as to sort of the general area that it is in. But whether it be Fae magic or whether it be the influence of the great deal maker Reynard himself, the cave's actual location is unknown. People think it might move. He might move it. But you at least know you have to make your way out of the Crispin Timberlands and to the mountain ranges to the west. Now, the journey out of the Timberlands from where you are is about a 4 days journey to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Do you choose to begin your journey at this moment in the peak of night, or do you reluctantly return to the dwelling in which you stand outside of and wait till morning?
Well, she is going to start her journey immediately. As a cleric of the Twilight Domain, she actually has dark vision up to 300 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So she is very well versed at traveling at night, and I think often prefers it. So she is
Yes.
absolutely going to start the journey now.
Riya, you look back at that dwelling, and I think in your mind, you at least hope you will never have to come back here. You never wanted to come back here in the first place. And you jump off the suspended deck and slowly glide down to the 100 feet from the impossibly high treetops to the floor of the Crispin Timberlands. Sort of in this sort of ever autumn wood, your feet find a crunch within the decaying fall leaves having fallen to the ground. And above you, even in the night, and especially with your night vision, you can see the leaves continuously just subtly falling from their treetops, but the treetops never growing sparser. And you make your way on your first day's travel. Could you give me a survival check? to see how well you
Absolutely.
can make your way through. I will
That's a
say,
19.
okay, I was going to say, you can roll that at advantage if you like with your
Oh,
300-foot
I
dark
didn't even
vision.
have to.
I mean, let's see if you get the 20. I just want to see.
Okay. Nah.
Nah? Okay.
That was a
19.
16.
Okay, 19 still fully succeeds. You make your way through the night. Ever so often you hear the sounds of nocturnal beasts and have to find just something out of the way or slightly change your direction, but it doesn't take you off path or reduce the amount of travel that you get through that day. But without full access to your magic, you know that you are not as fearsome as a foe you may have been, and those beasts would probably present an issue for you should you run into them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you reach the end of this first day's leg or first night's leg, would you like to continue pushing on, or would you like to somehow set up camp for yourself for, I guess, the daytime?
Yeah, I think how long has Riya been going?
I would
Like an
say at this
entire
point-
day?
Yeah, we'll go a full day's travel. So you're traveled through the night through the morning. You're probably at like midday-ish.
Okay. I think she is going to set up camp. Somewhere up high in sort of the tallest tree that she can find. She is going
Okay.
to try and set up just a sort of perch. She has some ropes, so I think she's going to try and like tie herself to a branch of the
Ooh.
tree and get
Very
some sleep.
Katniss Everdeen.
Very Katniss Everdeen.
Okay. Okay, so Riya, you pick a tree that looks rather sturdy but also tall, and you make your way up it and secure yourself. Go ahead and give me just a general dex check to see how well you feel sort of attached to this tree.
Well, that's a 15.
Okay, still good. You are tired and your hands are a little shaky. You might not have eaten as much today. You're running low on gold, on food. It's harder to find, I would say, food sources when you don't have much to your name anymore, and hunting for food has become more difficult without the access to your magic.
Yes.
But you are able to secure yourself. And does Riya conk out, or is she
No,
like...
I think before she goes to sleep, she sort of gazes up at the sky, and watches some of the clouds pass by for a moment, and then she closes her eyes, and focusing very strongly on a missing feeling in her left eye. She sort of says aloud, "Titania? Can you hear me? Titania? Hello?"
You hear silence.
Feeling very bitter, she goes to sleep.
Okay. Riya, your perch is you find a rather safe perch being so high up, and you hear ever so often sounds of beasts or other things, woodland creatures, making their way on the forest floor, but you are high enough in the air that you go undetected by them. You get a full night's/day's rest, and are fully recovered for another day or night of travel.
Feeling refreshed, Riya is going to gather up her ropes, pull out her map, and continue forward
Okay.
in a
Could
sort
you
of stubborn silence.
Okay. Could you give me another survival check? Again, an advantage.
Oh, okay. LOL, okay. That's a 6, so grateful for advantage. That's a 9. So 9.
Okay. Riya, despite your dark vision, you continually check your map, and you are sure that you are going in the right direction. But you find yourself seeing familiar trees. You've circled yourself back somehow. And in that, you hear the sounds of a trio of what appear to be owl bears not too far off.
Oh. How far are they? Can I tell?
I would say they sound about 50 or so feet away from you.
Okay.
As you hear them, you didn't see them at first because you weren't looking at that direction, but as you look in and with your one good eye, you focus in and you can see them, 3 of them, one larger than the other 2, but the other 2, not children, but not fully grown, make their way through the wood. And you know that typically owlbear hunt for their food at night, and they appear to be walking in your direction.
Okay. Riya is going to brace herself, and then she is going to, in her little pouch along her belt, she is going to fiddle around and pull out a pinch of rose petals, and she is going to crush them in the palm of her hand. And she's going to say, "My lady, Titania, I am begging." And she is going to try and cast sleep on the owl bears.
You crush the rose petal in your hand, and you say those words, you close your eyes, you open your eyes again, and you extend your hand out, expecting the petals to be carried along the wind in almost like this sweet rose scent and subtly lull these owl bears to sleep. But as you toss the petals into the wind, they merely fall in front of you.
Fine. I'll do this myself. And she is going to just try to sneak past, she's going to try to stealthily sneak past the owl bears.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Okay. 22.
22. With your magic failing, you look inside yourself and you know you have very few options in this moment. But you manage to get yourself. You wait until the very last moment and you get yourself behind one of the trees and duck into a pile of the falling leaves, hoping that your feathers almost blend in like camouflage. The owlbears are on the direct opposite side of this tree trunk, and you can feel their footsteps now reverberate in the ground you sit on. And you wait. And you wait. And you wait. Until they're just out of earshot. And then as you poke your head out, you see them 100 feet off, moving further away from you in the distance.
Perfect. Sighing in relief, Riya is going to slowly extract herself from the pile of leaves and continue the rest of the way.
Okay. You lose about half day's travel getting lost, but you make your way forward. Another full day, sun high in the sky. Do you make camp or do you press on?
Because she's lost time, she's going to try and press on.
Okay. You continue to press on. How long are you going to keep going for?
Maybe like another half day or a
Okay.
little under that.
Okay. So you continue to press on, feeling more and more exhausted. Eventually, you have been going for a full day and a half, and you've made up the half day that you lost, but you can feel the tiredness pulling at your muscles, pulling your eyelids shut. And you know you have to make, if not camp, you have to at least get some rest.
Yeah, she's gonna try to. Are there any trees around at this point?
Yeah, you're in the, you've traveled for about 2.5 days. You're still in the thick of the Crispin woods.
Okay, then she's definitely gonna fly up and find a tree.
Okay. I'll say you're able to do this without much issue. So you've just done it the night before. And you sleep now. Do you think Riya sleeps for the full 8 hours, or does she sort of eat up half her sleeping time with her travel time?
I think she eats up about half of her sleeping time with her travel
Okay.
time. And I feel like Riya is also at this present moment heavily plagued by all sorts of nightmares. So I wouldn't say that her sleep is particularly restful.
Okay. Riya, please take a point of exhaustion for this next day of travel.
Okay.
Having not gotten a lot of sleep, and the sleep that you got being racked with nightmare, you come down to the forest floor and make your way once again. For brevity's sake, we will say, Riya, avoiding various beasts, other hazards, you make your way to the edge of the Crispin Timberlands. As you crest out of the tree thicket, and you expect to see at the end of this 4th day, the sun up in the sky, instead you are greeted with heavy cloud cover, and heavy rainfall. As the trees, being so high up, had been mostly shielding the forest floor below from the rain. And though it obstructs your vision, you see about a half day's travel the range of mountains in which the Cave of Lost Things is rumored to exist.
Oh, I have hit enough. But we pushed on. We push on. And she is going to try to make it through this rain.
Okay.
Matted
go
down,
ahead-
feathers and all.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a survival check.
14.
Okay. It's tough. The rain is heavy and the wind is pushing against you. It feels like the world is against Riya. They do not want you to get where you are trying to go. But you push on. You make it to the base of the mountain range. Now, you are unsure of where within this range the Cave of Lost Things could be. But the only real path forward you have is up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
She's going to try to just keep moving up this mountain. And periodically she is sort of stopping to, if not think, then say Titania's name, in the hopes that something will get her a response. And I think at this point she's grown increasingly more frustrated.
okay. You make your way up the sort of sloped sides of the mountain, the easier, with little resistance, though you may stumble, you may slip, as a lot of this is covered in dirt, which is now mud. And it is making the journey more arduous than it should be. But you find yourself towards the rockier cliffs of these mountain ranges. And it's hard to see, even with your extended dark vision, because the rainfall is so heavy, but you could swear that you saw a cave in the distance, up ahead of you. But it will take a bit of true climbing to get there.
Ooh. Okay.
The rain, I think, with how matted and wet your feathers are, the option of any flight is not there with you.
It doesn't sound possible.
No, the rain is so heavy right now, and then you have been in it for so long. So go ahead and give me a strength or athletics check.
Okay. That's a 3.
It's a 3. Riya, your hands go to grasp the beginnings of the rocks, and you pull yourself up, probably like 20 feet up the first climb, trying to get to this first ledge that you see, that you could potentially take a break. But your body is so heavy, you are so exhausted, and you're still covered in that mud, and your feet, though they are clawed to try and like grab onto things, are so slippery that you go to reach up to another handhold and foothold, and at the same time your hand and foot miss and you fall, tumbling down, hitting yourself against the side of the rocky cliff face, and you land smack into a pile of mud on your back, looking up at the rain.
Riya cries out, and then she slams her fist down against the earth, against the mud, And looking up into the rain, she sort of brokenly asks, "Why have you abandoned me? Why do you leave me? Why do you let me suffer like this?"
In your mind, for the first time, you hear a voice you have not heard in so long. My poor lost child. Look at what has become of you after you broke my laws.
Titania, I apologized.
What are you doing out there?
Well, you have given
Alone?
me no other option.
Hungry? Afraid?
No, never afraid.
You never liked that word, did you? I gave you no option because you betrayed me.
But I have given you everything.
You're not going to make it to that cave. Not like this.
What do I have to do?
I know you have been searching for a way around me. But my child, you are mistaken. There is no secret back door, no loophole, no deal that this spindler can offer you. In holy magic, there is only what is granted and what is taken away.
Why have you come to me?
Fret not, I do not come to you in what could be your final moments to jest. I come with an offer, a chance to get it all back.
I'm
Do
listening.
you accept it?
How would I get it back?
I will only ask of you to once again abide by my laws and complete a quest for me. If you succeed, you will have full access to my power, your old title, and your research. Do you accept?
All of it?
Do you accept?
Yes, I accept.
And in that moment, for the first time, Riya, in a long time, your blinded eye glows with the blue insignia of Titania. And almost like a laser light up into the sky, it hits the clouds and they part in a circle around you. And in that circle, the rain stops. You can hear it still around you, but it does not touch you. And you feel for the first time in a long time a sense of relief.
Riya
And in
sits
that-
up and she says, I will not let you down.
And you hear once more, because you have no choice. And as those words take hold, your eyes shut and darkness takes over you, Riya. But not the kind of darkness you would expect. This is warm. This is holding you, refreshing you. And almost as if in a moment, your lids flutter open, and you are no longer along that cliffside, drenched and yearning. You find yourself on a plush bed, swathed in smooth silk sheets.
Riya, you know that thing that kids do where they have to like hold it in when they're trying to not to cry?
Yeah.
I think that's what Riya's doing right now. And she nods very firmly. She says, I know.
The door to the room you are in opens. Without push or pull from any being, and you hear the voice in your head again. Join them and come to me at once.
She gets up and she goes.
And that is where we will pick up for episode 2 of A Faery's Tale. As all 4 of our adventurers come together in the court of the great Queen Titania.
Yippee!
Amazing. We went a little long tonight.
Amazing first session, Dylan.
Thank you guys.
Lovely.
Thank you guys for playing. Give it up for our cast members. Thank you guys.
Thank you for DMing.
Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us to experience this little story we are telling. And I hope you will join us every other Monday as we continue to tell this story, and potentially more stories after that. And until next time, don't be afraid to make your own house rules. Have a good night, everyone.
Through the wild and thunder veils, splendor greater than folk tales. Bathed in shadow, you will find places neither soft